is happening. Where does the money go?
Local economy.
Yeah. School.
Local economy. A little bit of it will float up to the cloud. You might upgrade your Netflix subscription, buy an extra toaster on Amazon. But most of it would go to daycare and car repairs you've been putting off, and student loans, Democratic Party dues, perhaps.
Dues?
And the vast majority of it would stay dues. I'm not sure how it works here. So they're dues.
Don't tell Raymond.
Yeah, pretty soon.
They're even made you start charging dues after the freedom dividends. So most of it would stay right here in New Hampshire. This is the trickle-up economy from our people, our families, and our communities up. It would actually build an economy that reflects our goals and values. And it would be particularly powerful for rural areas that right now we all know are getting sucked dry and depleted. And kids who are growing up here in New Hampshire feel like they have to go to Boston or someplace out of state to live the kind of life they want or access the opportunities, in large part because we're in the midst of this extreme winner-take-all economy. And the freedom dividend is a way to balance that out. It will keep Main Street stores open, will create thousands of jobs right here in New Hampshire because of the additional economic value in your hands, in our hands, every single day. So this is the vision we have to bring to the rest of the country, but the vision's even more profound than that. How many of you woke up this morning excited about GDP? Like, I'm gonna make a big contribution today. I can feel it. We're at record high GDP today in this country, also at record highs, stress, anxiety, financial insecurity, student loan debt, even suicides and drug overdoses. It has gotten so bad that our life expectancy has declined for the last 3 years in a row because suicides and drug overdoses have overtaken vehicle deaths for the first time in American history. Do you all want to know the last time American life expectancy declined for 3 years in a row? The Spanish flu of 1918. You have to go back 100 years to a global pandemic that killed millions to find a period when American life expectancy declined for 3 years. We're in Spanish flu territory now. And when's the last time you heard the cable news anchors talking about this? Never. We're cheerleading these phantom stats. Even the inventor of GDP said this is a terrible measurement for national well-being and we should never use it as that. And he said that 100 years ago. And here we are 100 years later following it off a cliff. Robot trucks will be great for GDP. They're going to be terrible for Americans. And one of the clearest signs on a personal level, my wife's at home right now with our 2 boys, one of whom is autistic. How much does her work get valued at in GDP every day? Zero. And we know that's nonsense. We know that's the opposite of the truth. We know that her work is more challenging and vital and valuable than the work of the average hedge fund manager. So we have to start valuing ourselves and our work differently. Now, I made a joke about GDP, but if I said something got better in your community that would actually make you happy, like what would you say, wow, that got better? And then it would actually genuinely give you cause for celebration. Go ahead and shout something out.
Schools?
Childhood success rates, right? You said your schools got better, you'd be like, that's tremendous.
Clean water.
Clean air and clean water, be very happy about that. How about mental health and freedom from substance abuse? About health and life expectancy and wellness. We have numbers for these things. I will modernize GDP and turn it into the American scorecard and report to you all every year at the State of the Union how we're doing by the real measurements. And then if we have a sense of the real problems, then we can invest in actual solutions. Because right now, raise your hand again if you run a business or organization. Imagine having an organization with the wrong measurements. How's that organization going to do over time? That is where the country is right now. We're following GDP, headline unemployment, and stock market prices off a cliff. And these things have less and less relationship with how people are doing. We're pretending that the rules of 20th century economics still apply in the 21st century, and they're breaking down around us. It's why we all look around and say, why do things feel like they're not so great, even when all of the anchors on TV are telling us that the numbers look great? It's that the numbers are not the truth. Even Donald Trump, when he ran, you remember when there was the unemployment rate, and what did he say about the unemployment rate in 2016? He said fake news, these numbers don't mean anything, and then he gets in the White House and he's like, oh, the numbers work. Unfortunately, he was right the first time. The numbers don't work. Headline unemployment, as an example, it doesn't include underemployment. It doesn't include the fact that 94% of new jobs are temp gig or contract jobs. It doesn't include the fact that millions of people are dropping out of the workforce. Our labor force participation rate right now is 63%, the same levels as El Salvador and Costa Rica. No, like, but they'll tell you, oh, it's all great. Like the headline unemployment rate is essentially government malpractice at this point.
Wow.
So if we update to the real numbers, then we can home in on the real problems, and then we can invest in trying to improve our own lives. We do not have that much time. We truly don't. Our government is decades behind the curve. A lot of this should have been done a long time ago, but we have to do it now. Donald Trump's our president in part because he got some of the problems right. He said he was going to make America great again, and what was Hillary's response in 2016?
America's great.
America's already great. Remember that? And that was not the winning message. We have to acknowledge the depth and severity of the problems, but then we need real solutions. Donald Trump's solutions were the opposite of what we need. What did he say? We're going to build a wall, we're going to turn the clock back, we're going to bring the old jobs back. New Hampshire, we have to do the opposite of these things. We have to turn the clock forward. We have to accelerate our economy and society as fast as possible. We have to evolve in the way we think about ourselves and work and value. And I am the ideal candidate for that job because the opposite of Donald Trump is an Asian man who likes math. Thank you very much. What does math stand for in New Hampshire? It stands for Make America Think Harder. And that's what we're going to do with your help. Thank you all very much. We have to let our fellow Americans know it's not left, it's not right, it's forward, and that is where you are going to take the country in 2020. Thank you all very much. I love New Hampshire.